Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and I just got back from the new film, The Woman in Black. A young lawyer in early 20th century London, and he has been asked by his law firm to go to this house of a deceased client, finish up the paperwork, and they set it up like it's going to be a haunted house story. He goes to sort out these files. What those files are don't seem to be that important, but he goes and he soon discovers any time anyone sees the woman in black, she possesses a child to basically kill themselves, and she's killed many children because, well, they get into why. And so he goes to Eel Marsh and tries to fill out documents, and kids keep dying. And this is the first Hammer horror film made, shot in England in 30 years. And Hammer was a great horror studio. They really were for a long time. And they made a lot of classics, but they also made a lot of stuff that just wasn't very good. And a lot of stuff that was just, you know, it was alright. But they made a lot of stuff. And I think Woman in Black brings Hammer Studios back to just kind of making an average Hammer movie. This film isn't really a horror film that is a lot of fun. It's just all cheap scares. So at the beginning, you have this awesome setup, like you have to go to this house, it's a spooky house, and then he goes, like everything is just like, like boo, like something pops out or comes up behind you and scares you. And they're all cheap scares, but the problem with doing too many cheap scares, after a while, I became very numb to it. And like someone in the audience yelled like boo, and that scared a few people, but that was kind of what the movie was doing, is it just like someone yelling boo. And at first, the beginning, the cheap scares are fine, but it's like that there wasn't any real variation. It just seems to be always like something might be behind you. That brought it down for me quite a bit. I think the cinematography is about average. I wasn't really blown away by it, and I really never got a sense of this village near the mansion that was haunted by the woman in black. Daniel Radcliffe, I guess it's kind of a vehicle for him. I didn't really understand why he had like 5 o'clock shadow the entire movie, or he just hadn't shaved in a couple days or something. I mean, I think that was overplaying the, you know, I'm grown up, this isn't Harry Potter angle. Can I really complain? Because it's not like I shave regularly either. It's nice to see him, but it's not something, like you get more of him as an actor in a Harry Potter film. He does actually remind me of someone like Peter Cushing when he did the Hammer films, where it's like, it's not an amazing role, but he does kind of elevate the film a little more because he is pretty good at it. If he was really bad, I think this film would be a lot harder to watch. It's like traditionally generic in how it's presenting a haunted house film, and it's really cool that someone just made a traditional haunted house film again and didn't, you know, have like some hit music on the soundtrack or Shannon Elizabeth or something. And I think that's great, and I really like that about this movie. And I like that it's just kind of an average Hammer film, but at the same time, that end result isn't really that great. The audience I saw it with just really couldn't get into it, and it wasn't, sometimes, you know, you're like, that audience was too rowdy, but when I was watching it, I was kind of like, yeah, but this movie isn't grabbing the audience at all. I think it was a little too quiet. Someone really needed to make a really good score for this movie. That was something it really lacked, because it was such a basic kind of preliminary score. I know this movie was super cheap to make, and it definitely shows. It's just not really that fantastic. It's kind of generic and dull. I'm sure this will look great on syndicated TV in about 10 years. The revelation about the woman in black was really stupid. I thought it was going to be that she was his kid, and I was going to be like, oh my god, but it wasn't that. Too many cheap scares and not enough behind it. It's just an average kind of B haunted house movie. And that's all it is, you know. Maybe for some people that might be a bad thing, to some people that might be a good thing, but that's really all it is, and nothing more. Alright, so if you have seen The Woman in Black and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments, and subscribe if you would like to.